Right on. And today, live from the Jeffma Group podcast, Unfiltered, I'm here with Mr. Christopher Rabe.
What's going
It's a
on, man?
pleasure
How are you?
time with you, man. I'm glad that we get this time together.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So I'd love to delve into, what started you as you. Where'd you come from? What got you to where you are right now?
Okay, for sure. I don't know how far you want to go back, like how much of a story you want me to tell, but
Let's not do your childhood, but let's do your adult life, What got you
okay,
to where you are?
cool. So yeah, I started my career basically as an editor for a I moved out to Los Angeles. My dad owned a post house out there, which is like basically where you take films and or they were kind of more marketing stuff and um, for a lot of high clientele, like high, ticket clientele out there. And so I kind of just got in that way. Of course, I know people have, things about that when you say like, oh, I went and worked for dad. But I've always had just kind of like a chip on my shoulder that like, no matter what handout like is given to me, that I make sure that like I give it tenfold back. Right. Like that's always kind of just been how I've structured anything that I do, that it's like, I just make sure that I do that. So anyways, I went in, I dove super deep and learned how to become like a really, really good editor pretty fast. And that's another like kind of thing that I've kind of picked up over time, is that like I can pick up things really, really quick. And so I kind of ended that career by choice. My wife and I were having a kid, and we were in Los Angeles, and we are like, hey, we don't really want to raise our kid here. And so I kind of left it all behind. But when I left, I was editing trailers for Disney movies, which is
Oh,
pretty
dude,
crazy. Yeah, it's
that's
really, really
incredible.
crazy. And I was like 23 at the time.
Oh, wow.
So, which is something, in the moment, it just felt like kind of this is what life is. And I didn't really think much of it. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm doing this. But like when I really look back at it, like that alone was just such a crazy opportunity, right? Like, it takes people 30 years to get to that spot that I was in, um,
Incredible.
and I just left it, which is wild, and I regretted it for a long, long time, um, but it kind of made me have to like redo everything, and so
Right.
I went, I got like two or three jobs, and I was like, I knew I wanted to stay in the business, and so basically followed a path that ended on me now owning and operating a production company with my brother here in Boise. And so that's kind of what we're doing. So now we're out here in Boise. I have a full production company that I run with him, and we do a lot of like corporate stuff, and that's kind of like my day to day like W-2, if you will.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and then kind of like probably like 4 or 5 months ago, I just saw one of Pace's ads, and I was like, sub 2, that's sick. Like that is the
Yeah.
craziest thing I've ever heard. And I was like, I have to learn all of that, right? Like I was like, I need to know every single thing about that. And so I just dove super hard into it, and now we're talking on a podcast basically.
Man, I love it. I love it. I love the way you
Yeah.
started. You had that ability to work close to your dad, have that father figure in your life kind of show you the ropes, but you
Yep.
also took your experiences through that and, kind of created your own out of it. And now not only are you teaching others, but you're also giving yourself the ability to grow more from your experiences, which is amazing. Are you still with us, Chris? You're cutting out a little bit, man. Yeah, so I love the ability that you had that time with your father, and now you're using those experiences to help others, which is super beneficial, and
Yep.
it's only going to catapult you in sub two.
Yep. Yep. And that's honestly, I think, what like really attracted me to like that's what really made me like take the plunge into sub 2 and like really dive deep into it was like I heard Pace in one of his Zooms, like the free ones before I even joined, and he's like, "Go read Go Giver, go do this. Like those are the things that you need to go do." And so I went and I read that book, and I was like, "This is the most incredible like thought, right? Like of go giving. That like the more you give, the more that you get. You have to be open to receive and give." And it's just like it just really like kind of changed my mindset on a lot of things, and the more and more that you're with Pace, the more and more that you're like in his community, you see that like that mindset today is just like so crazy powerful. Like you can just really do anything. And so it's just like I've really been vibing with it a lot. It's awesome. Yeah.
It truly is a phenomenal experience to be able to find a community of like-minded individuals that don't even have to know each other, different parts
Yep.
of the world, different countries even, and still have that ability to work together for that one main goal, either helping others or creating profit for generational wealth. It's just such an asset that not many people know about and fewer people even understand.
Yep. Yeah.
It truly is.
Yep. And yeah, and so it's just been crazy. I think I'm about 7 weeks total into sub two,
There you go.
which is wild because it feels like I've been in it for 5 years. And I haven't had like I guess technically like my first deal, but like I've really just like focused on networking, and I just like connect with anybody and everybody. And it's like
I love it.
it's so crazy how you can just kind of like snowball your success, right? And get yourself into positions where like I literally was telling my wife this. I was like, "Hey, the deal that I was looking at last week is a drop in the bucket to what I'm doing today." And it's
There you
like
go.
if you really like take action and really set your mind to it, you can't be stopped. Nobody can stop you. And it's a really beautiful thing. So,
I fully agree with it, man. I mean, consistency, like you said, you're still pushing for that first deal as well as I. And I've only been in for 5 months, so it's not the determination to get your first deal. It's the focus and consistency to continue to progress forward. I would believe people are so mindset that we need to get that first deal and it has to be in 2 weeks into sub two. And people forget about that journey that got them there, those connections, that network that they built. And I'm a firm believer in what you're doing right now too, man, that network, that community of outreach that you can rely on, that you build at the beginning is what's going to catapult us farther in the future. And I'm doing the same thing you're doing. I'm networking, I'm reaching out, I'm getting my connections, and I'm lining up my people that are beneficial to my business that I can rely on it when it comes time. A perfect transactional coordinator, perfect boots on the ground. If I need a bird dog, who do you call? It's
yep,
it's a benefit and an asset to put that time into this business because, like Pace says, in the long run, it's going to benefit you.
yep. And I think it's hard because the hardest thing about life, right, is that you look at those around you and you look at the people and you're like, well, why is he able to go faster? And why am I not where that person's at? And that's literally like, if you have that mindset, if you have those thoughts, that's what's holding you back. That right
Absolutely.
there. Like you need to
Absolutely.
break through that and say, what am I doing? And that's what I like do all the time is I'm always self-reflecting on myself and saying, what am I doing that needs to change to move that ball forward, that needs to get me to that next step? And that's like it's such a different mindset of thing. And I don't care what anybody else is doing. Like it doesn't matter to me. Like
Nope.
I'm doing what I'm doing, what I'm supposed to be doing, and I know that, and I'm talking with people, and I also care about people, right? Like I genuinely care. I'm sorry that I was late. Like that
You good.
eats me inside. I was like I was in a meeting, like we were talking about a big event that we threw last week, and I saw your message, and I was like, oh, I gotta go, I gotta jump, because it's like I promised you that I'd be on this show, and that's what we've never talked before, but it's like it doesn't matter because it's like we don't know how the any relationship is going to evolve or grow or what it's going to become. And so it's like you need to treat them all equally with like they're the king of the world, basically. That's how I how I look at it. So
I fully agree with you there, man. And I think most people coming into sub two, new members should be thinking about it like that. If you're focused on making those networks and those connections, be sure to be consistent, be sure to be on time, be sure to be productive. And like you said, we're the biggest judges of our own character, and we should be the ones to look back at our faults and figure out what we can do to better catapult ourselves forward in our business. Because if you're limiting yourself in that ability, then you're just setting yourself back up for longer failure. When you can stay consistent, stay productive, time manage and time block your abilities daily into what you need to get done day by day. I mean, it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of what day it comes down to that your life could change. And like you said, all of those connections and those outreaches are important because you don't know what day that person that you called a month ago may bring you a deal or may bring you that portfolio that you've been looking for a month. So it's super beneficial. And I agree with you fully that connecting with as many individuals and that outreach, I mean, there's not a lot of communities out there on the social media network that have this much outreach and support. I've never witnessed it, even in my own personal life, to see somebody, you know, on a different part of the country that wants to see you win, wants to see you succeed and strive. And I just love it. I mean, you can't beat it in this community. And to hear you only a few weeks, 7 weeks in, saying it as well, it lets me know that not only is this community pulling the right amount of people together, but it's so beneficial to the beginning member to the leading member. I mean, Pace is still making deals with everybody from a newbie to the top person in his own staff.
Yeah. And I want to share like just something real quick. So like I definitely know that I'm visionary. Like that's 1,000%. I am like literally max on visionary scale, which is frustrating because if you're a visionary and we're a dime a dozen, like in the group, everybody's a visionary. Everybody has that problem. And when you're visionary, you have a lot of things that it's hard to get things done, especially by yourself. And that's really where I've like changed my focus and like my mindset on a lot too, is like you want to do it all by yourself. You want to do those things, and Pace kind of like talks about that, right? And I stay up really late at night, and I have just thoughts spinning through my head all the time, like just of everything that's going on in my life. And I typed them out on August 11th, like this really big, long, basically letter, right? And I was like, dude, this is all the things that are on my mind, blah, 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 blah. And I like went over like 10,000 things, literally shiny object, like in a note, if you could do it. And then,
there you go.
And I was feeling down, like I was feeling depressed and like, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And he literally said to me, he said, wow, a couple of things. You are not worthless. What a heart you have and a vision for people. Squad up with people. Are you connecting to others in the area? And I read that and I was like, yep, no, I'm not doing that. I need to go start talking to more people. Like I was in sub 2 and I was like, I was messaging people, like a couple people every day and like doing this and doing that. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing more. Let's go do 10 times what I'm doing right now. Like, let me reach out to let me open up my schedule. Let me hop on podcasts. Let me talk with more people, because then you just kind of open yourself up to receive any opportunities that you come your way, and also lift other people up who may be struggling with something. And so it's just such a beautiful thing. So anyways.
It really is. It's great that you actually gave yourself that ability to journal in the past and see where you came from to where you are now. And yeah, I love the ability to don't limit yourself to only large goals to see yourself succeed. Let those small goals be the building blocks to get you to that large goal that you want to see.
100%.
Right on the back right here, I got my vision board. It's just simple appointments and goals that I got planned, set out, but I get up out of bed every day. I see that thing. I know what I need to get done so I can stay consistent. And it's a big mindset change from going from just a W-2 that you're working day in and day out to putting in that extra hour every day, extra 2 hours when you can every day or on weekends, just to have that life that you're striving for and not just be stuck where you're at.
Yep.
I do love it.
So tell me more about you. Like where are you at? What's I forgot what part of the country you're in. You're in Seattle, right? Seattle?
No. So I'm in NorCal.
Oh, okay. Nice. And what's kind of like your business look like? What are you focusing on? Where are you at with things?
So right now, focus is on wholesaling to build capital to create my rental portfolio or my sub 2 portfolio. And then the main focus on right now is direct to agent, direct to seller. Obviously, I like reaching out and talking to people as well. I like hearing their stories and helping others. So if I can get on the phone with somebody, I'd prefer it, but I'm not limiting myself to not missing out on text blasting and email blasting. So I'm kind of hitting all aspects as far as outreach that I can. Nice. But then on the same side, I actually linked up with a community of members within Sub 2 that we have helped build a team together. And I got a buddy in Chicago that runs lists. I got a buddy in Florida that pulls comps and works our transactional coordinating. And then 2 other people that pull leads, skip trace, and then drop them down the pipe to me and my buddy who run acquisition. And then we pass that off to our buddy that runs dispo. So in the amount of time I have been here, it's super exciting to see where I started at and to where I've gotten to now, because I have touched bases with people that are in sub 2 that haven't built a team like I have already. And to know that I have those people that I'm already creating building blocks with, just like yourself, you're looking for those people that are on the same page as you, looking for the same goal, that are go-givers and that want to help others. So it's nice to finally run into that same group of team members and be able to pull each other's strengths when it comes time in the pipeline.
I love it, man. Dude, that sounds
Yeah,
awesome.
so yeah, it's coming together pretty good. And I mean, there are some long-term goals, obviously. I know a few people working on land development for like health spas and education outreaches and outdoor RV and glamping. And I would love to be a part of that. Getting people outdoors is so beneficial. And I'd love to be able to have the ability to help people be healthier outdoors. So getting into that would be a dream come true.
That's awesome, dude. Well, we might have to connect on that because that's kind of like what I stumbled into like the last little week. So, um, I'm trying to, start doing kind of little, uh, modular, home developments is basically kind of what I just stumbled into. And that's kind of another
I would
tip like
love it.
that. Sorry, just that's kind of like on the top of my head is I think we do like get so caught up in, only networking with sub two, which is kind of like a double-edged sword. Um,
Yeah,
because most everybody in sub two is awesome, right? Like and they're super good and they'll help you and they have that same mindset. But there's also people outside of sub two who have never even heard of sub two
oh
that can
yes.
help you get to your goals too. But a lot of times you kind of have those blinders on and you're like, oh, I can't like only sub two, like I only focus on sub two. And when you kind of open yourself up to that and you're like, oh wait, well maybe you can help me with this. And then you now have a superpower that they don't have, right?
Yep.
And you have like you have value that you can give them because you're well versed and creative. You're well versed in all these things. You have resources. You have top tier transaction coordinators.
Exactly.
You have so much value inside of sub two that you can provide to other people. And they're like, wait, you can do that? You can do
Exactly.
that? You can do that? And you're like, yeah, I can. So
I do love it, man. And actually, two of my team members are not in sub two. Actually,
it's
I
awesome.
met them through the Creative Pace Morby page,
Yeah.
and they haven't taken the plunge yet to get into sub two. But like you said, they're using me as that ability, as that outreach to find a good transactional coordinator or find a good buyers list in that state. So it has been very beneficial to just add to my experience and my knowledge, but as well as my outreach because the community is so large.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's super,
Absolutely.
super cool.
Dude,
What?
it's been a pleasure talking to you, my man.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty easy,
100%.
dude. I just talk.
Absolutely. You just
My
talk. I love it.
my wife tells me I talk too much. She gets frustrated, but that's all
I think
right.
my kids got my talking from me, so I understand.
That's awesome. That's
A
awesome. How
hundred
many kids do you
percent.
have?
So I got five.
Oh, dang, son.
Yeah, three that are my ladies biological and two that are mine. So five as a family. But
Nice.
yeah, the plan was to have kids at an age that you could actually enjoy kids, be
Yeah.
able to appreciate growing up with them and showing things to them before you're physically unable to or you can't get on the
Mm-hmm.
ground with them. And I had
Mm-hmm.
a father like that, so I didn't want that ability to limit my children to a dad that was too old or that could only do a W-2 and then come home and go to bed.
Right.
So I wanted to give them that ability at a young age. I knew that, so I wanted kids at a young age. I started in my early 20s, and that gives me the ability to not only teach them while I'm learning, but to
Right.
help them grow while I'm at an age while I'm growing also.
Nice.
I do truly love it. And to be able to find, real estate investing and just passive income at a young age of 30 and give myself that time to teach my children that, because all my children are under 13. So I have plenty of time left to teach them. And
Yep.
I mean, both my older girls will be cold calling for me eventually.
It's awesome. Yeah, like I love that so much because that's what I have a 7 year old and like a 1 year old. And that's what I'm so excited for, right? Like it's
Oh,
like, hey, I'm
yes.
gonna build this over the next 3 to 5 years, and then kind of when they come into that age, then it's like, hey, let me show you the ropes. There's so much stuff out there that you just don't even have to worry about or think about
Yep.
or waste time learning. Let me show you how to do these things so that you can just continue to be successful and you can continue to build that dream for whatever you want to do in life. And
Oh,
that's the
that's the
why.
biggest goal. That's the biggest goal. That is the why.
Yeah. So
100%. And yeah, I just love the fact that we're teaching something that most teachers are not teaching. Even colleges aren't teaching this. So to be able to support your children and have them knowing this before they even graduate high school
yeah.
is super beneficial. I mean, they're going to have a leg up and an advantage in this world that most don't get. And
Right.
that's the shame. I mean, on the education side, we are not teaching our kids how to live financially safe or to do tax deductions properly or how to even file their taxes. I mean, it's limited to the point of get a job or go to school. And I want my kids to have the ability to do both of those while they make passive income or
Yeah.
make income in high school before they even think about college.
Yeah. And that's I think yeah, like I think we're like bred and like the system is made to like literally pigeonhole every single kid that goes through there, right? Like it's like, hey, you're made to do this, you have to go to school, you have to go to these things, like, and it's like, no, you don't. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You don't have to do what everyone else says is normal
Nope.
because that's how you live a normal life. If you want to do
Exactly.
something exceptional, you have to go do exceptional things and you have to learn exceptional things and you have to learn. And so like I think even if I fail at everything, right? Like next week, everything goes down. I always say to my wife, I'm like, hey, if everything fails, I'll just go work at Costco, right? Like that's my kind of thing.
There you
And
go.
I noticed that I've been growing because last night when I was talking to her, I said, oh, if that all fails, I'll just go back to buying my first subdue deal, right?
There you go. That's a good
And
progress
and
of
I
growth.
in my head I was like, oh, I'm growing
Yeah,
because my fallback has moved from Costco to just buying a deal.
exactly.
And that's like, oh, dang, dude, that's cool. Because it's
That
like,
mindset, I mean, it's a powerful thing. A lot of people don't pay attention to how you talk to yourself out loud or how you talk to yourself in your head until
yep,
you really verbalize it and tell yourself, why did I just say that about myself? But then to catch yourself like you just did, man, that's powerful to be able to say, oh, wait a second, I'm catching that. Nobody has to tell me that I said that. Like, that's the first step, bro. I love that.
yeah, and it literally, and then what's just crazy is it helps you just be more confident, right? Like you're more confident in everything that you're doing, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing the right things, I'm doing it, and then you're like looking for that next step, that next thing, that next opportunity. Your eyes are just kind of always peeled, and you're just like so focused on, hey, I'm building this for my family. It's awesome. It's just so cool, dude. I'm grateful to be, I'm so thankful to Pace and the community and just how loving everybody is in here. So,
Dude, I'm
yeah,
with you there. I am
yeah,
100% with you there.
yeah.
Before I took the plunge, I had a buddy in sub 2 talking to me for probably 2 months, trying to answer questions through text messages and phone calls with me. And finally in March, he was like, or almost at the end of March, he's like, dude, just join. He's like, bro, you've been talking to me for 2 months. He's all, I'm answering questions. I'm trying to
Yep.
help you find buyers. He's like, I'm trying to schedule JV deals with you to help you. He was like, but this community could help you a lot more than just one sub 2 student can.
Yep.
He's like, dude, make the effort. He was like, if you want a better life, you want that ability for outreach and you want that support. He was like, it's there. He's like, just stop dilly dallying and make it happen, bro. And
Yep.
that's literally, I mean, that's what the mindset shift took, was just somebody out loud telling me, what are you doing? Like, why are you making it so hard for yourself, working by yourself and still trying to like juggle around finding the right people to even answer a question for? He kind of put it into perspective that like, if you don't do it now, what are you going to do? Wait till you're 40 and try again? Like, dude, do it now, get it done
Yeah.
before you're 40, and then just be set. Like, the ability to change your life at that time, or at my time frame, was kind of over my head, and I thought I couldn't, and was limiting myself to potential growth.
Yeah.
So to just have somebody out loud verbalizing what I needed to do was like, dude, you're seeing it from an outside perspective, and we've never met in person, and you still know me better than me.
Right.
it
Yeah.
was it was a little mind changing. And after that, I actually I have a really good quote that reminds me to push every day, and it's, how hard are you willing to work to be poor, because you know damn sure you'll work harder to be wealthy, or income wealthy at least.
Yep.
And it's
And
like, I'm
that's,
busting my back for my W-2. Why shouldn't I be putting in that extra time and effort to better my life outside my W-2, to maybe say I don't need that W-2 anymore? So he really flipped the perspective on me quite a bit. And now I love that quote. Every time I'm struggling in the morning, 4 o'clock alarm comes and I'm like, I better hit the snooze. And then I hear him
nope.
saying like, how hard are you going to work to be poor? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get out there on the laptop and I'm going to do cold calls.
And yeah, just that mindset, like just having that in the back of your head, right? Like that's what propels you and that's what moves you fast. And people around you are like, dude, what?
Oh
What is
yeah.
going on with this dude? Like he's not like, he's just so focused, right? Like you're just so focused and there's nothing that can stop you. And you're just like, let's go, baby. And like
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of like how I just feel all the time. Like what do I got to do? What are the big movers that can make me, give me the most traction that I possibly can? How can I do
There
that?
you
And
go.
that's always changing. And that's what's, I think, really hard for a lot of people, is that like they want to join sub two, or they want to join the free Facebook group, or they want to
Mhm.
do, and then they're like, oh, well, that's it. And it's like, no,
No.
dude, it's just starting. Like
Yeah,
you're
you just
just
started.
you're on one step up that mountain.
Yep.
You
Get
got a
there.
lot of hard work to go.
Oh yeah. And I think you're right with the newbies bouncing back on the ever changing systems. I mean, the shiny syndrome is a real thing when it comes to newbies coming into the community. And I think that the Avatar series is so beneficial for
Yeah.
them, almost like it should be included in the Pace Morby course, just so those new people don't feel like they have to hit every vault video and know every little dynamic of real estate investing, because they get so
Yeah.
lost and so caught up in there's too much to learn. And it's like, learn as you go,
Yep.
fail forward, keep consistently making changes as you learn, and
Yep.
you will get there. Like, you got to put in the effort though. If you're just researching and learning and talking, like, you'll never get a foot in the door, and you got to put that time in. I mean, it may take the time, like you said, day one is the start, but if you keep pushing in the beginning, you won't be working for a decade trying to
Yeah.
learn it.
Yeah. And I think too, like the key about that too is like your work has to be intentional, right? Like it has to be focused on what you're trying to build, but then you also have to be aware and like staying conscious of everything that's going on around you and opportunities that you might even think are on your path, right? Like, and that's when
Exactly.
Pace had the family night, like I don't know, it was like a couple family nights ago, but he's like, shiny object is super powerful. It's like, don't be scared of it. And then another girl in the group, I think it was oh shoot, I'm gonna mess up her name and she's gonna be mad at me because I was on a call with her, but Elena, I think is her name, in
Uh-huh.
sub two, and she's like, yeah, don't be scared of shiny object. Don't. She's like, it's your superpower. Like dive into it. And I really found that, and it gets frustrating because you're like all over the place,
Right.
like trying to do all these different things and hop on this Zoom and learn underwriting and do all the different things all the time. But it's like I'm now like at a spot where it's like I'm being like exactly what I said when I said you're able to provide a superpower, a tool that they don't know, that's not in their tool belt. Because I've been like diving and learning all these different things, I'm providing a
Exactly.
tool to someone outside sub two who has no idea, and we're coming together as a partnership. Again, it's not finalized yet, right? Like I still don't
Right.
have like my first deal under my belt, but it's like because you're open and you're constantly kind of head on a swivel and doing all these different things, as long as like once you find that thing that like kind of comes across your path, then you buckle down, make sure
Yep.
you have an integrator, go to your TCs, go to everything that you built, that you've been doing all this, and you're like, okay, now you have blinders on. Get
Yep.
that first one done, get it locked up, and then you can go off to the races. So it's pretty sick.
I like the way that she explained that. It's a little flip on the shiny syndrome, because most people think of it as a
Yeah.
downside, but using that as an ability to help others is, like you said, just another outreach that you can do for this community. Because, like you said, you're still in it at the beginning, but there's people joining every day, and they could use your ability and your experience that you've already worked on in the last 7 weeks to catapult them farther forward. Maybe not have to stumble a couple times like you
Yeah.
have in the past, and just having shiny syndrome and learning as much as you can gives you that ability to help them maybe mess up one less time.
Yep. And
That
that's
is
what's
great.
yeah, and that's what's so powerful about networking, about these things, right? Is like that's literally the superpower, right? Like it's not like, yes, you want to be friends with everyone, but obviously like all of our time is limited, right? And so we
Yeah.
have to like give people, we have to like be like cognizant of that, and like make sure that we're not dumping too much time into new relationships. But when you really do build those relationships and you care about people and you're like genuinely trying to help them overcome those things, you can kind of catapult off each other, right? Because you can take each other's skills and things and say, oh, well, I don't know about that, can you tell me about that, right? And now you just learned, and you're both like stepping together and growing on each other's abilities and taking little nuggets from every person, and you kind of just like everyone just rises together. So I just love it, dude. That's like it's literally like just feels so good in my heart, and I think that's why I just click with the community so well, just because that's what I'm about. Like I just love helping people. So
Oh man, that's great. It's been a
Yeah,
pleasure getting to know you, and
of
I'm
course.
gonna love people hearing about your life and your experiences and what you're going for.
Yeah, man. And if anyone, yeah, like I said, if anyone wants to talk, anyone, like I'm always open, and I'm sure we'll just keep talking. And it's so cool, like how we can just go to all these meetups, and it's like, oh hey, we were on a Zoom together. What's
It's
up?
so
How's your
great.
business? How you're? And it's just it's so cool. So
It is very nice. The outreach is very, very powerful in this community, and I love it so much. I would love to be able to tag you and add your
for sure.
YouTube and your Instagram to the bottom of this at the end of this. That way
Yeah,
people can follow you on your journey.
sure. Yeah, do it, man. Of
Oh,
course. I'm not gonna
awesome,
say
man.
no.
Absolutely not. Who loves the outreach?
Yeah.
100%. Well, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah.
And
Same.
we'll
Likewise,
definitely
dude.
talk soon.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Hey, you enjoy your day, Chris.
You too, man.
All right. Bye.